All right, today I'm teaching you a proven cold call script that's not only worked for me in enterprise software sales for 6 years now, but also the hundreds of reps I've taught it to that work in SMB, mid-market, upmarket, selling a variety of different products into a variety of different industries. I have consistently found this cold calling framework to work because it's easy and simple to implement, but it's highly targeted and scalable. It's designed to help you move fast, prospect fast, at a high quality. So if that sounds good to you, I'm going to break down this framework and teach you how to implement it in your own role. So let's get into it. So I'm going to keep this very simple. The framework is to answer 3 questions for the prospect, ideally in about 30 to max 45 seconds. And that's who you are, why you're calling, and what you want. Because when you call a prospect out of the blue, they weren't expecting your call, they physically looked at their phone, there's a number they don't recognize, they answer probably because they think it's work related, or maybe they think it's something important in their personal lives that's important, but nope, it's you, sell them software or whatever you sell. You have to answer 3 questions in 30 seconds to get them to drop their defensive guard where they give you that defensive tone and they're pushing you away because they're wondering, who is this person? Why are they calling? And what do they want from me? So you need to take control and answer those 3 questions. If you watch my videos, I've glossed over the cold call opening because you know I like to keep my cold call opening simple and repeatable, where I take control so that we can answer these 3 questions right out of the gate and get them to drop that defensive tone. I also call this my value statement framework, and it's designed to be repeatable. Once I go through this, you're gonna see that about 80% of the words can remain the same, and you only need to tweak a few areas where I've put blanks and X's, which we're gonna go over, where you change it depending on the persona you're calling, if it's a different line of business, if it's someone in finance versus someone in HR. You keep most of the words the same, but you might just change a few of the things I have laid out here. So first, you gotta tell them who you are. Hey, this is Connor Murray, call from X company. How are you? Get that formality? Good. I'm just reaching out because I'm part of the X team that supports X company regarding XYZ. That's the framework for telling them who you are. An example, if you're a sales rep that sells financial applications, you can say, I'm part of the financial applications team that supports X company regarding planning, budgeting, and forecasting processes. Insert whatever processes are most relevant to the persona that you're calling. If you sell HR applications, you can say, I'm part of the HR applications team that supports X company regarding processes related to recruiting, talent management, people analytics. So you see how it's the framework that's important. You can insert the words that are important to you, and I'll cover this at the end too, but if you spend time to properly white space and plan your territory, you can make lists of all the finance people in your territory and make one script that will serve all of them. I'm part of the financial applications team that supports blank company regarding planning, budgeting, and forecasting. That's a good start for almost any person in finance you're calling, no matter the industry. The next part of the script is the why, and this is the most important part. This is where you're gonna sell why it's worth them spending more of their time to set up a meeting with you. And there's really 2 things you need to touch on. What priorities or challenges do you solve for this persona, and how do you solve them? Again, you can make this repeatable. I'm gonna stick with the finance example. Our team works on priorities related to strategic planning, rolling forecasts, and intercompany planning, and we typically do this by reducing the reliance on Excel and automating a lot of those monthly financial reports. So I started with the challenges and priorities we solved. I named some that would be relevant to most people in finance, especially those that work in planning. Strategic planning, rolling forecasts, intercompany planning, and we typically do this by, and I named 2 pretty high level ways that we typically do this. Again, this would be relevant to most finance people. If I was calling someone in accounting, so similar but not the exact same line of business, I might say something different. I might say we work on priorities related to tax reporting, manual eliminations, account reconciliations, other priorities that are important, and then decide here's how we solve them. But that's the general framework. And once you plug this in and do this right once, it should apply to all the personas in your territory so that it's ready for you to go and you don't have to think about this script. Another thing you can tweak is maybe you made a list of people that work in finance in a specific industry, like in the retail industry or in the life science industry, or it doesn't have to be finance, it could be marketing or sales, but you can say our team works with organizations in the retail industry on priorities related to blank. So you can see we're just trying to set this right once and have it be able to apply at scale. Because if you made a list, here's all the people that work in finance in the retail industry, you now have a script that could apply to literally hundreds of people, pretty much as big as you can make these lists. And then the last and arguably the most important piece, this is an area a lot of SDRs, especially new ones, hesitate, is you have to finish by stating what you want. This is what gives you a shot on net. You don't have a chance of booking the meeting if you don't actually ask for time on their calendar. Your who and why could be great, but if you never actually on the cold call state that what you're looking for is time on their calendar, you never had a shot at booking the meeting and it was a total waste of time. What I say is you literally increase your odds by an infinite percent by taking yourself from a 0% chance if you don't ask to an infinitely better percent chance by going from a 0 to a non-0%. This gets you on the playing field. So after you tell them who you are, why you're calling, you state what you want. The way I typically do this is say, and I know I kind of called you out of the blue here, so I'm more just looking to set some time next week just to get introduced and aligned with your priorities going forward. Are you free on X date, or are you free on Wednesday or Thursday? Now you have a non-zero probability of booking the meeting. So this what piece stays almost the same no matter who you're calling. So it's really the who and the why that you need to set in place, and then you'll have a script that can apply to hundreds or even thousands of people depending on how big your territory is. The other thing I'll note is you don't have to go straight into what you want. I do recommend that for new SDRs who aren't used to actually asking for what they want yet, but you can just tell them who you are, why you're calling, and finish with a downward inflecting tone, like truly make a statement like, here's who I am and why I'm important to you, and then get their response first before going into what you want. Now you have more information to act off. If they sound receptive, then you know I should probably go for the meeting. If they give you an objection, then you know, okay, maybe there's some more work here to be done, and you have a little back and forth, but then go into what you want, which is time on their calendar. You can be more strategic, but this is a general framework that I've consistently seen improve results if you stick to it. And that's what's important. I'm just giving you an example here. These are words that have felt comfortable to me, but everyone's got different personalities, tones, inflections. Replace any of this with what words feel comfortable to you. I just think it's the framework that's important here. I get a lot of comments, I'm part of the X team that supports X company, and they're like, do you still say that if they're not an install or an existing customer? My answer is yes. I know logically in your head you're like, well, we technically don't support them because they're not a customer, but I promise you when you're just speaking confidently and concisely and the prospect doesn't know who you are and this is a random call, they're not even thinking at that level. They're really just like listening to you and taking in what's going on. And it's true, even if they're not an existing customer, if they're your account, you do support them. Like that's not just a term for installs, but you can replace that with something different if you want. You don't even have to say you support them. You can just say, I'm part of the team that works with companies in the Z industry regarding blank, blank, and blank. Do what feels comfortable to you. And lastly, but most importantly, this can't be a scalable, repeatable framework if you don't put in the work to properly plan your territory and make those lists up front. Do it by each industry. If you cover different industries, maybe you're geographic and you cover companies that are in retail, life science, communications, financial services, make lists for each persona that you target in that industry. So lists of people in finance in the retail industry, lists of people in HR in the retail industry, lists of people in marketing. Most companies don't just sell one product, and there's different personas they target with the different products. So make lists of all those different personas in each industry, then use this script, this value statement framework to make targeted scripts for each of those personas in that industry. Once you do this right correctly up front one time, it does take a lot of work, but then you're good to go after that. This will literally last you months or even your entire tenure as an SDR if you do it correctly. So let me know in the comments if this resonated, subscribe if you did, hit the like button, and I'll see you on the next one.